That was quite the dream board, I must say. I was thinking through what would be missing. There was tech, data, analytics, data management, which is like really, really mature organization. Money, CFO. I think one CHRO, ex-CHRO, and we're set. I think the board is good to go. So it was excellent, panel discussion. So thanks for having me here first. Very, very interesting topic, and 18 minutes it seems like. So I'll try and do justice here. The future of data, AI, and cloud, and how do they coexist? I was actually looking at the definition of symbiotic relationships. What does it mean? It's from Greek origin. It means together and living. The word comes from biology background. It is about species that depend on each other or even one another, and the relationship they form. And to my thorough surprise, there are 6 types of symbiotic relationships. 6 types. They are not all beneficial to each other. Some are beneficial to both. Some are beneficial only to one. One is called the predator type of symbiotic relationship, which means one dies at the end of this interaction. Sort of cannibalism kind of thing. So very, very surprising, and it is fantastic to use that terminology for these 3 technologies that are so prevalent today in our world, right? We just spent the entire last more than an hour, I think even the first session and the panel, talking about this. I just want to draw a picture. I don't think anything should be super surprising, but when you put it all together, you see the relationship that emerges. So I think Vinod talked about every 2 years we double the amount of data, right? And look where we have reached. 300 million terabytes every day. I wanted to count how many zeros I ran out of. I just couldn't get to it before coming here. 60 times more than a decade ago. So think about the next 10 years. Dipali was trying to predict next 10 years, right? Think about that. It is increasingly diverse and complex. I think India, I don't know if you guys know this, India is the largest consumer of video streaming content. Just imagine what smartphones have done to our country, right? We are at the next level. This is the enterprise view that is very important, right? If you use it correctly, 10% year-over-year revenue growth. You're 6 times more likely to see as a business. Forget about the tech, forget about tech aid, anything. At the end of the day, even the technology companies want to make money, right? Value has to be there. Look at how much value it can bring you. Now, correlate that with AI, and data will feed into AI models. The global AI market is expected to reach 191 almost billion by 2025. Anybody wants to take a guess? Our prediction on 2030. We are upwards of 100 billion right now, globally. 190 in 25. A wild guess, 2030. 2 trillion. The estimated market for AI is 2 trillion. I'm sure Gen AI and all of that is feeding into it. And rightfully it should. But that's this growth, that growth. Now look at the other side. Global cloud computing market is expected to reach 1.5 trillion by 2025. And accordingly, it keeps moving the counter this way. This is again, 90% of organizations are using AI in some form or the other. I believe that quite a lot of enterprises or smaller, larger, medium size, they may not know and then they are using AI today. Quite possibly we don't know we are using it. In the simplest thing from what should I watch next on Netflix to the hyper-personalization. That's your personalization, hyper-personalization, right? You don't know you're using it, but all of us are using it. An impact of generative AI, I'm not going to get into this, otherwise the whole session will go into that. But the increase of the total impact is 15 to 40%, which is what this 190 is going to 2 trillion, right? Accordingly, the cloud market is also going up, right? I think it's a very obvious kind of relationship, but I think we should, where should I point? Not going up. Okay, fine. Very intuitively, you can see that the more data we are generating, the more space we need to store it, the more data we are generating, the better and better and better your AI models can be. It can be more human-like. It can be better trained. It can be more accurate. So it's the fuel that drives AI. Cloud is this is where you provide the entire ecosystem to exist, right? I think if you think about it, if I can take a minute on cloud, think about the early days of AWS or something, infrastructure as a service. It was a great thought, even as just infrastructure as a service. Then we have come to a time where APIs, services, now we are at a time where it's solutions. Have you seen in the 3 major hyperscalers that we have today, the race for generative AI? Unprecedented. So the cloud is not just about infrastructure and platform. It is now about how do you run AI models? The best way to run them. You know, they'll tell you what kind of GPU I have. I have NVIDIA, this number, you know, you don't maybe not need GPUs. So there is such a race. And I say as a CIO and as a tech leader, I'm all in. I want that race. Because at the end of the day, the kind of impact these technologies have is game-changing for humanity. It is game-changing for humanity, right? From your models to be able to predict your data, weather data, take weather data and predict weather. You save lives. Healthcare, I think very loose example of generative AI, right? It's in nascent stage. We don't trust it so much, but it predicted massive health issues that somebody had been chasing for 5 years, all the doctors, they couldn't. So there is tremendous amount of impact that we will be able to drive that this relationship offers for innovation. And I think this is a very obvious relationship that we can see, but it is, the numbers on the previous slide hopefully says how close-knit it can be, and it is. So, you know, if you are working on AI, I would say buy the cloud stocks and so on and so forth. We also want to make money, right? I want to talk a little bit about how, so Arohan is one of our projects that we've done in Mahindra. You know, we wanted to take advantage of what the newest cloud technology offers, not just for one way of moving workloads. I think that's just changing geography. It gives you nothing. It's pointless in my opinion. But you modernize and you transform so that you have ability to take new businesses in. Today, very traditional businesses also have a digital, complete parallel business. And while this is growing tremendously, it becomes its own business that is so important. What cloud and AI and you know, all of these technologies, what they provide you is ability to do these things very fast. Today, I think AI almost predicts, you know, when is my car going to come back for service? It's quite possible to do that, right? If you have telematics data, you know how much has been running, the kind of average you get, sort of. So, you know, you experiment with all of that and then you're able to give better, you know, business outcomes. Enabling business transformation, you know, optimization, reduced product life cycle. I think product life cycle is going to have such a huge impact with these kind of, because generative AI is able to do renditions now. Here's my red car. Tell me how the green one looks in a desert. Right? It'll get better. It's not quite there. I, in fact, agree with Dipali. It's in quite nascent stages. But the potential, if you keep at it, is humongous. Data for decision making, I think we've been using data for a long, long time. The amount of data you get today, the kind of insights you can get out of it is very different. Very, very, very different. We are all now entering, I think outside of India it's already there, and even Indian markets, I think all the automakers are doing an amazing job of making all cars smart cars. The amount of data you get, it's almost V2X, vehicle to everything. Something like 5G will enable that also, right? Your communication, the amount of data that it gives you road condition data. It can give you how much traffic is on the thing. It'll give you how much encroachment. I'm so hoping for Mumbai, it tells you how much encroachment on the road, like how many gallas, fera people are on the side of the road and avoid it where possible. But so much data that betterment of your experience will be possible. What makes it possible? You can have unprecedented amount of data. If you don't have the right infrastructure for compute, for speed, for performance, your models will not work. They are very important. They are even more important because some of these decisions and insights have to be on edge. So the better this gets, the faster you get insights. And of course, modernization for an agile enterprise. So when you are going after, let's say, one outcome, say I was going after an agile enterprise and a modernized stack, and I want to provide a launching pad for any business that want to do digital work, that kind of outcome, I've already set it up for data insights. I've already set it up for AI outcomes. I've already set it up for the transformation that all three can bring in. Allow me to change the order a little bit. I'll go back to the other slide. So where are we going from here? Another staggering number of, staggering number of numbers, I guess. That's okay as well. We can do 60% of data which can be synthetic, and I can render reality. Just think about it. Which means you can use this for a lot of, it'll de-risk a lot of situations where it may be physically harmful to be, where you don't want to spend a lot of time getting the information. You can actually, being there in person, you can do this. I think healthcare is so primed to use this kind of thing, or even mining. There are so many experiments that are happening in this space. 50% of new system deployments in the cloud will be based on cohesive cloud data ecosystem rather than point solutions. This is also very important. I think the gentleman was talking about data management. And somewhere in there he was talking about bringing it all together is where you will be able to milk the real value. So having the cohesive ecosystem will matter a lot. Otherwise, part of it is sitting somewhere else, part of it is sitting somewhere else. If you can't bring it together, you can't really get the real insights out of it. So this will be very important, and it's great to see that progress there. I think this is nothing new. I think 10 billion would have been invested in AI startups in next year and a half, less than year and a half. And we have so much data that it can be trained on. The challenge will be selecting the right set of data, right? Because all of this is not cheap. It is expensive to do. This is what I was talking about, edge. If you want, ADAS, automated driving assistance system, you can't go somewhere, you can't send a lot of data, go somewhere, make a decision and say, stop the car now. That decision has to be made right there. Stop the car now. So a lot of analysis will happen at the edge. this cloud and edge relationship is also evolving very, very rapidly. The edge is becoming as competent as actually cloud. And everything moving around is smart, which means it's generating a lot of data, which means you have to have ability to process the data and make quick decisions. Then you feed those decisions, that data, to your AI models. Next time will help you make a better decision, right? Now I'll go back to this. Very, very, staggering numbers, astonishing progress. We just kind of, I'm sure you all have seen when ChatGPT opened up the registrations, they said for Facebook, X number of people got registered in so much time, and then, on, I don't know, Twitter, X number of people got registered. ChatGPT is like, I don't know, 1,000 million times more. That actually shows the interest and ability of people to absorb technology. Everybody in the board knows about ChatGPT. And I greatly agree that we should educate everybody better. Because technology always also has the flip side. Atomic energy, fantastic. Bomb, not so much, right? You can do a lot of good with the technology. You also want to make sure we protect ourselves from the bad ones. One of the most important things today AI experts talk about is the biases that your model will have. We live in a biased world today, which means the data we are creating is biased today. If I were in your shoes, Shantanu, I would say, I want to grow my audience by X%. Make me a model of how do I do that, right? I see like, I don't know, 6 women? 6 women here. If you continue using that data and growing that, it will give you a list of tech leaders who look like these tech leaders, and it'll say, please send out X% more invitations, and you'll have, 6 plus X% more. Well, I'm hoping you're aiming for 50-50. You got to remove the bias from your model. And that's just a very, very, very small example of we got to protect our AI from our current biases. Because that gentleman was talking about it, what are my children and my grandchildren going to see? They are going to believe everything that comes in front of them. Because, quite possibly, digital media is the only one that is in there, right? Even our parents, we have to tell them, please don't believe everything that comes on WhatsApp. It's not right. So that's something we have to protect against, and I'm sure you all have seen this. There are a lot of forums, there are a lot of governance bodies that are being set up, but it's still not quite there. This has to happen at a global level to fix this. I think I already talked about a more distributed and localized approach to data processing and analysis. I think the days are gone when if you think about Mahindra, if you think about, I think Birla or any of this conglomerate, you can't possibly tell them that you must put all your data here. Not going to happen. Or you can't pass so much data back and forth where you can't make decisions at the right time in the right place, which means you need good distributed and localized approach to data. Energy consumption. I think this is also quite, our planet needs healing. If we continue to consume energy at the rate we are consuming without thinking how we are going to generate energy with greener sources, it will be difficult to sustain this for children and grandchildren. That also, the flip side of that is that also we continue to work on models that are not so expensive. I think Dipali talked about it, it's very expensive. Unless you have really large amount of data to generate, please don't go after this yet. It is expensive, these things are expensive. But there's always a way to do it in a better way, and that's what we want to aim here. Greener energy sources, continuously optimize how you are using these models and how much energy you're spending. Scaling, converting into information and data privacy policy. I think this can be yet another very interesting topic. while we go after hyper-personalization, and our excuse is always we're providing better value for the customers, I think it has to be consent and value hand in hand. And I'm very glad that Indian government is sort of taking a very large step forward in this, and can't wait for it to become. Of course, it's a lot of work for us. Sleepless nights. But I think very, very important for the people who are designing these systems now. Now, they should come with compliance for this, guardrails against it. They should think about what data I'm using to train my AI model. They should think about, can I find a better, more, energy-wise, a conservative way of doing this. And of course, there are a lot of solutions out there, and more, your edges will continue to get, better equipped to handle data. So I think with this, I'm actually out of time, so I will leave my rest of the thoughts alone. But I hope this gives an idea about how these are. It's a circle of life that is happening, and at some point, I believe, personal belief now, that we should think about how much data we generate. At some point, we will have to let it go, right? We are currently sitting on all kinds of data, forever data. So the archiving that we all IT people know, we've thought about archiving, right, and in our jobs before. Personal archiving of data, how will you do it? Archiving and then purging. So while data is the oil, it absolutely is. I think it is more valuable than oil. That's an old analogy in my opinion. The best way to use it and the best platform to use it is what AI gives you, is what cloud gives you. Thank you.